Hey Raiders! Today's hot topic is the possibility of Shador Sanders being chosen in the first round of the 2025 draft, which has been taking over social media, with more and more insiders pointing to our franchise as the #1 destination for Dion's son. And what are the rumors? That this draft may not just be about signing a QB, but a complete package that involves his brother, Shiloh, and all the primetime influence, the incomparable Deion Sanders. If you've been following the latest Chiefs news, you should know that the AFC West rivalry could be shaken up if the Raiders find a new face of the franchise in Shador. Would he bring not only talent, but also demands? Like, you want Shador Sanders? Then you have to take my little brother Shiloh and other Colorado pieces? So, would the silver and black front office be willing to deliver all of that? In this script, we will dive deep into every detail of the soap opera, recalling Deion Sanders' history with the team, Dion's own statements, as well as media speculation, such as ESPN and figures linked to Tom Brady and Mel Kiper. You will understand the entire context that suggests a strong connection between Shador and the Raiders. Just be sure to comment at the end what you think about this bombshell. Would you accept Shador with a bonus, Shiloh, and possible extra requests? The draft is always a Russian roulette, but this conversation promises to shake up the offseason. Stay tuned. Let's begin the journey that explains all this buzz, from Deion Sanders' supposed joke about draft my boys to the dynamics that Shador can bring to the team. After the fifth section, we'll simplify the language to make it accessible to everyone, including children, while maintaining that adult vibe that our Raider Nation loves. At the end, don't forget to like, subscribe, and activate the bell, because at any moment there could be explosive news that changes everything about this possible draft. All right, Raider Nation? Then let's go. Raiders folks, here we are again with the eternal dilemma. How do we find the perfect quarterback for our franchise? In recent years, we have tried some solutions, but nothing that has stuck with us and brought hope of a title. With the departure of Derek Carr, the stakes turned to an uncertain future. Fans were buzzing with possibilities that emerged last offseason. Whether it was Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Will Levis, or even speculation about Caleb Williams. But now, the big question that's boiling the internet involves Shador Sanders, the talented son of Deion Sanders, who stands out for his precision, mobility, and of course, the brand name Sanders. To make matters worse, looking ahead, best guesses indicate that the Raiders could have a very high pick in the 2025 draft. And according to very strong rumors, there is already a relationship between the Las Vegas board and the Sanders family. Tom Brady, who has a connection with the organization, also has a good relationship with Shador. And Mark Davis, the team's owner, makes no secret of his admiration for Deion Sanders. Add to all that the affection that Max Crosby shows for Shador, and the smoke quickly turns to fire. The question that remains to be seen is, if Shador does indeed come, is there a hidden requirement to bring his brother Shiloh along, or some other special condition? Rumor has it that Deion Sanders has the power and knack to influence, demanding that the franchise select Shiloh as well, if they want to keep the popular QB. For some fans, this may seem like an exaggeration. For others, it may be the way to ensure that the Raiders project works out. After all, keeping the family together and happy can contribute to a positive locker room environment. But to what extent is this healthy for the team's cap and roster construction? Insiders are buzzing, folks. ESPN recently published an article recalling an old video, recorded back in February of this year at the Super Bowl, in which Deion Sanders appears joking. Antonio Pierce, draft my boys, huh? At the time, everyone laughed. It seemed like just a fan's joke. But now, as the months go by, more and more clues emerge that the Sanders family really does see Las Vegas as an interesting place. It's worth remembering that there's a whole context behind this joke. Deion Sanders is leading the University of Colorado's football program and has been transforming that group into a true hotbed of promising young players. Deion's status as a legend and his connections with big names in the NFL, including Tom Brady and other executives, cannot be ignored. When Deion says something, the entire league pays attention. With each victory or sensational play by Shador, speculation grows. Bookmakers are already starting to change the odds on which team will select the quarterback. And we, Raider Nation, are at the center of this storm. It's worth paying attention, Because if the franchise gets the first overall pick in 2025, the pressure to go after Shador will be enormous. Even more so if the fans embrace this dream. In the wake of this hype, the question repeats itself. Will it be just him or the whole package? And if it is indeed a package, who else will come in besides the QB? Shiloh, Travis Hunter, some receiver from Colorado? Let's get to it. If Shador Sanders is the big name who could rebuild the Raiders franchise, what about Shiloh Sanders, his brother, who plays safety and also stands out in Colorado? And even more intriguing, could Deion Sanders be influencing or even forcing teams that want his prodigious QB to also select his son Shiloh in some subsequent round? For some analysts, this would be crazy. For others, part of a bigger plan. This type of package is nothing new in the NFL. The Manning family, for example, has always had a huge influence on the league. If we remember the choices that took place in the past, every now and then there is a lobby for brothers or friends of athletes to star together on a certain team. The point is that Deion Sanders is a football institution. Your voice, your charisma, and your background could give your family unprecedented influence. He himself has said publicly that he wants the best context for his children in the NFL. And if the best context has to be in the Las Vegas spotlight, Dion is likely to move mountains to see it happen. For us at RaiderNation, the cherry on top would be to see a dynamic QB with the Sanders family swagger, wearing the silver and black. But the trade-off could be risky, spending a third or fourth round pick on Shiloh, when perhaps his value would be more like the fifth. And at this point in the championship, our defense needs much more than brotherly courtesy to get its act together. On the other hand, safeties have been a recurring need in Las Vegas. So, if Shiloh fits the profile the team is looking for, he could even be a good fit. However, all of this is speculation. The big question that hangs in the air is, would it be worth giving in to this pressure? Here's what we know. The Raiders scouting staff is already on the college football radar, particularly in Colorado, following Shador's every move. ESPN draft analyst Mel Kiper has already listed the quarterback as a potential high pick for 2025, repeatedly mentioning the Raiders' interest. Tom Brady, who has been involved as an advisor and has some ownership stake, has a good relationship with the Sanders family and clearly sees potential in the youngster. Every week of college games, insiders are buzzing about how impressed Mark Davis is with Shador's growth. The fact that Max Crosby has a good relationship with Deion Sanders and his crew only adds to the excitement. If we look at the player's DNA, Shador brings that sparkle in his eyes, that cool attitude that historically fits the RaiderNation vibe. Remember the folklore surrounding iconic players, leaders who have a strong presence on and off the field. In addition, there is the media issue. Shador and Deion Sanders attract attention wherever they go. The Raiders are a global brand, and a merger with the Sanders phenomenon would be a boon for marketing, jersey sales, social media engagement, etc. We can imagine that the NFL would love to see this story unfold. The spectacle factor adds strength to the rumor that Shador in Vegas is almost written in the stars. It remains to be seen whether all this will not become a break if the Sanders family also demands Shiloh or any other agreement. We've reached a critical juncture, Raiders Nation. If the team drafts Shador Sanders, the entire ecosystem of the franchise must adjust, including the coaching staff, the way it handles signings, and, of course, the relationship with Dion. Prime Time is not just a player's father. He's a sports icon with unprecedented influence. If Shador lands, the pressure on the team to bolster the OL, sign talented receivers, improve the safeties and corners core, and change its identity is likely to be enormous. And it could get even greater if Dion slams the hammer by saying, "I want Shiloh too." So, the question is, does RaiderNation accept the idea of delivering whatever it takes to have Shador? After all, if the QB really is the changer we were hoping for, bringing Shiloh in the fifth round, for example, may be a small price to pay. Of course, we can't neglect squad building. But with a possible number 1 draft pick, Mark Davis and the board can bet all their chips on a revolution. And let's face it, when it comes to the Raiders, we're not exactly a franchise averse to taking bold bets. Chiefs news: the rivalry could heat up if Shador explodes in Vegas. After all, the Chiefs have dominated the AFC West for a long time, and it would be amazing to see this matchup. Imagine videos of comparative statistics between Patrick Mahomes and Shador Sanders in the future, generating all kinds of discussions on the networks. And Dion would still give interviews full of sound bites, shaking up the divisional dispute even more.